Why do people love Myrtlewood? I love this question because it's so. Because I love Myrtlewood, because I love this world that I've created. I love having created a magical, cozy, but deep, fun and light, but also powerful and transformative. The whole world, I feel like that's the purpose of creating this fantasy world, and I created it because I wanted it, because I wanted there to be a magical place that you just want to live, and you just want to keep going back to that place. You want to eat the magical chocolates and drink the tea that makes you feel better, and go to the apothecary and get magical healing things and beautiful skincare. I don't know. I wanted to create a world that made me feel joyful and brought the magic that I do feel is already in the world more into focus in a more obvious and enjoyable, fun way. Kind of, it's a paradox between something that is light and fun and adventurous and quirky on the one hand, and on the other hand, it is deep and transformative, challenging in the way that life can be, where the characters will go into these difficult situations where they're not just facing an external challenge, and it's not even just an internal challenge, but it's both, and it's deeper than that. It's like the quests that the characters go on are not just about getting courageous. They're about releasing old patterns that are holding them back, and they're about becoming really empowered and understanding the nature of magic. Because I'm a witch. I've identified as a witch since I was a teenager. I love the word witch because it's so powerful, and I've been involved in a lot of witchy things. I started a pagan club at university a long, long time ago, and I have been involved in creating rituals, and I've done a lot of my own inner work as well, a lot of processing. A lot of my magic is very intuitive, it's kitchen witchery, it's feeling based. I'm guided by what makes sense for me, and sometimes it's using all the fun you know witchy paraphernalia, the tools, the candles, the crystals. I love all those things too. I love herbs. um, I adore so much about witchcraft and magic. Even though I follow my own path, I've never wanted to follow anyone else's prescribed path for me. um, I love magic, and I love Myrtlewood because I've created it so that I could love it. And I love how so many people want to go to Myrtlewood. I get people telling me all the time that they love my books, that, sometimes they've just started, they just read Accidental Magic, and they're like, I need to read all of them now. And sometimes they've read all of them and they say, I need more, I need to go back there, which is so beautiful. I love to be able to create this experience for people, provide this experience, and draw on real magic as I know it, which is mostly about connecting with nature and connecting with our own nature, connecting with our own power, connecting with ourselves at the deepest possible levels, connecting with our communities, connecting with healthy living systems to create more connection and more well-being, especially in this modern world where we're so plagued by disconnection, by online arguments, or by feeling like we're alone, or we live in these little isolated boxes, many of us. We live in ways that our ancestors never used to live, and there's many convenient things, wonderful things about the modern world, but there's also some things that I feel we could bring in a little bit more deeply into our lives. More connection, more well-being, more celebration of diversity, like the people exploring and expressing themselves, being who they are. That's something to celebrate. We can, celebration is a kind of magic, and in a way, Myrtlewood is a celebration of magic, and I think that's why people love it, and they keep going back to it, because they are getting some nourishment on some level from it. That's what I want to provide. I want to provide books that when people read them, they are feeling nourished by the story, by the journey, by what the character's learning about, because the characters are going on a journey where they are healing and they are learning about themselves, and they are connecting deeper and getting more and more out of life. And so I feel like my goal with that is for readers to be able to get the same experience as they engage and connect with the story, because stories are magic. Stories are magic. They take you on a journey. It's just then it's not always the journey that you really want to go on or that you really need to go on. If people read my books and it's not for them, that's also fine, because maybe that's not the journey for them at this time. Maybe they want a different kind of adventure. When I was growing up, I often felt like there were so many stories that were broken. There were so many stories where the female characters in the stories were weak princesses. Unfortunately, I grew up with a strong feminist mother who tried as best she could to protect me from those particular broken stories. I wasn't actually allowed a lot of those stories. I didn't have very many books about princesses unless they were a rebellious princess who was breaking all the rules. I grew up with so many strong heroines in the books that I was reading, in the books that were read to me as a child, and so many empowered witches. My mother had a strong view that if you're going to have witches in stories, they shouldn't be evil and mean and horrible and nasty and scary, because that's part of the problem. That's part of the demonization of kind of the power that women were often not allowed to have in history. So it's important for me now to tell stories that are actually about empowerment, that the witches in my stories are connecting with nature and finding their power. And I feel like that is a healing story, as opposed to a story that could be diminishing. And I think that's an important influence in my writing, is just knowing that it's really important to have opportunities for empowerment. The main characters, and most of the main characters that I write, are women and solo mothers quite often, or I want to write stories where they get to have empowerment too. In my Crones series, I've got characters who are 60 plus, and they get to be empowered because society so often diminishes them, and I want all the wonderful women in my life, all the wonderful Crones in my life, the wonderful older women in my life, to feel really valued and celebrated, because they're amazing and I have so much respect, and they bring me so much joy and wisdom. And I wanted to write stories where they get to be, women who are older than 60 don't have to feel diminished or like they're just a side character. They also get to be main characters. That's really important to me.